Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity and Love. Absolutely joyous guests from the world over with incredible talents and incredible insights, here to share their life path, their own story of transformation, or just how they're helping others or inspiring others. Today, we have absolutely all the above coming to us from Los Angeles. She's a writer, producer. You'd know her from like Delilah and some other productions, whether we talk maybe HBO, but definitely OWN, our own, the Oprah Winfrey Network. She went to Dartmouth College undergrad, big time smarts. And then for an MFA, it was USC on the writing front, screenplays, TV, stuff like that, where she's also an assistant adjunct professor. She couldn't leave the campus exactly. She couldn't get away from them at all. They wanted her, and she's probably a very popular teacher. I want to mention, though, she's an evidential medium, so she'll do psychic readings. Her mantra is do no harm. She tiptoes in, gets the job done. It's usually about an hour. It takes her 55 minutes, a little bit over. But I will just say she's super psychic. I enjoyed meeting her very much. So I'd like to welcome IVY SUNDERJI. I've never had to pronounce your last name before, even though we've met a bunch of times. Beautiful. I mess up all lingo and names. So IVY, great to see you again. Welcome to Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Michael, thank you so much. I can just say that was a lovely intro, and also like you just have such a wonderful, warm energy, and it's really nice to be here.
Aw. Well, we've again spent, I'd say, super quality time. You are just able to turn on a dime and get stuff done. If we're talking intuitive Olympics, whether it's hearing, feeling, seeing, and you're super fun. I know you're a tiny bit under the weather, so you've also been super kind to keep to the appointment and give us this audience and give the audience a part of yourself. So, where do you want to begin on this? When did you know you were intuitive? When did you actually hang out a shingle? And did you try to run the other direction for a good period of time?
Let's start. That's a great place to start. And can I say you're also incredibly psychic? Just you're also like incredibly like tuned in. Um, because the things that will come out of your mouth are so just speaking to conversation. The synchronicities that come out of your mouth are incredible. So I think you're the real deal. And I was a huge skeptic for most of my life, even though I had some strange, like anomalous experiences as a child. And throughout my life, I would sort of have premonitions of things. And I was very uncomfortable with all of that because, like, as you said, I went to Dartmouth and my grandfather was a physicist on the Manhattan Project. And I grew up in a very, like, just science-minded, skeptical mindset, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I had a partner who was a psychiatrist, and he started telling me that he thought I was psychic, and I didn't think it was a thing. And then my sister had a paragliding accident in 2019, and I had like predicted it the week before it happened. And then I started having like visions that like even though she should have died, that she would like walk out of the hospital, which was like not really like what one would like think from like the condition she was in. Like she shouldn't have survived. The odds that she would ever walk again were like not great. But the vision I had was that she would just get frustrated and bored, like being in a wheelchair, and that she'd just force herself to stand up and walk. And that is what happened. And she did walk out of the hospital. And they still didn't believe I was psychic after that. Um, and actually, so my sister Amy had this like year and a half where she was like recovering from her accident, and the day she finally was well enough to go back to work, my partner drowned in a surfing accident. Um, so it was like back to back. And once when I was like a little kid, sorry, this is kind of a tangent. I'm a little all over the place. But when I was a little kid, I remember I broke one arm, and then the day I got my cast off, I fell and broke the other one rollerblading because like I was like, oh, it's time to relax. And then nope, it was like back to back. So I almost had like preparation in my life for like the resilience of like, oh, nope, it's longer than you think. Um, but so yeah, my partner dying was a huge shock. And after he died, I think the volume on my psychic medium ability got turned up so loud I could not ignore it. And I had nothing to do but sit in my grief and try to like understand what was happening to me. And I thought I was crazy, honestly. Like I thought I was losing my mind. And so I went to some therapists and I was like, I think I'm hearing voices. And I probably need to be an antipsychotic because I'm grieving really badly. And they were like, well, what are the voices saying to you? And I described one, and one therapist was like, well, that's my dad who's dead. And she's like, this is really like profoundly a healing thing. And I told my sister about it at one point, and she's like, the things that you're hearing are like helpful. And she's like, no one's gonna put you in a mental hospital because like, or like put you on drugs because you have a voice in your head saying like, hire an accountant and things like that. So eventually I ended up sort of coming to terms with the fact that I was a medium. And so this is like a very long-winded answer right now. But
It's
I
perfect.
also
Just tell us the timeline if you could. When did the
so
tragedy happen with your partner, if I
he
could?
died he died January 2nd, 2021. So it was like 4 days before the Capitol riots, and I didn't even know that had happened like for like till 6 months later, like because I was in such like a bad state from grief. Um so this happened to me very quickly. Like about like 6 months after he died, I had like just a very like wild series of events. And one of the things that happened to me was this I had this like vision, I guess, of this girl who said she was like a murder victim, who came to me, and she's like, please help draw my picture and help tell my story. And I was so distressed by what she told me because it was so horrifying. And I thought I was just like making this up or something, and that it was just, I kept thinking this is just my grief doing something weird. This is just my grief doing something weird. But I like took notes and drew the picture just so like I had it. And 6 months later, it came out in the news this was actually a missing person. And my therapist, who I talked to about it, was very supportive of the fact that she's like, you predicted so many things that have come true. She's like, you have a gift, just send this to the tip line. This might help their case. I don't know if it did help their case, but they did have to the police had to interview me about like what I knew about her because it wasn't like public information then. And so then I was like, maybe I'm really a medium. And during this time, I also had like taken a class with James Van Praagh, who's a well-known medium, and I watched other mediums like learning how to like hone and refine their ability. So I got to sort of like anecdotally watch people doing this. And I was in a widows group for people who were grieving, and I trying to understand what was happening in my brain. I just offered to give people free readings and saying like, I think I can hear dead people, but I don't know if that's even a thing. And based on the readings I gave, word of mouth just sort of spread that I was a good medium. And my therapist at one point was like, set up a business and charge money or stop doing it because you're spending too much time. So I felt like it was helpful to people. So I do readings in my spare time for people now.
And your website talks about grief support. So now I understand why and how that's so important to you. And again, one of your sayings for your business is do no harm. And you're very evidentiary is how you put it. So how's it been going? How's the book of business? You're in demand and you are good at what you do. So do you mind giving a compliment to yourself one more time about your services?
Oh, that's very sweet. I feel like I really just am doing it because like going to mediums and exploring this is what helped me cope with my grief actually. After I got past the am I crazy? And nothing else was as helpful with like the despair you can feel from grief when you don't have faith in anything, as like having that kind of evidence. So I do readings because I think they're helpful to people, and comforting, and I think they can help people feel unstuck and sort of keep feeling empowered to like carry forward in the face of loss. So that's really like my why for doing it. And like I really do want to make sure people feel like taken care of and that like I'm acting in their best interests, even though I know like the world of psychics and mediums, it's like an unregulated thing. It's like there's controversy around it, but the other thing that's come to me from all of this is it's just like not as advertised in the world of skeptics. It's just like the people I've met as a medium are like the most like warm, generous, like caring people, like the other mediums I've met and spiritual people like you, like just like people full of light who are trying to be a force of good. So and like that's just it's not as advertised. That makes sense.
Makes total sense. Okay, here's one of those random questions. This is synchronicity, serendipity. You saw an angel one time, you didn't know it. It was 6 years later. That must have been an angel. It was a stranger. You're walking down a small town main street. You're thinking, I need to hear this. I need to hear this. A stranger out of the blue says that, you turn, they're gone. Do you have one of those experiences where you're still wondering about it? Again, random stranger, something, synchronicity, serendipity. It could have been when you were a kid.
Like, oh my God, I have so many of these. It's hard
As
to,
many as you want to share, but let's start somewhere. Where are you taking us?
let me think about this for a second. Um, well, this is not quite that, but after my partner died, I swear I saw him walking down the street once, and I know that's not possible, but I felt I saw him, and I was on the phone with my friend who would set us up on a date. It's just how we met when I saw him, and I've never known if that was a trick of my brain or if that was really like somehow like just, I'm guessing it was just like a vision though, same way I have like other visions, but that's not quite what you're asking, but so
That counts. And we'll come right back to this question. If you want me to
yeah.
light some sage, blow some sage smoke to you, it's a staple of the show. People at home can catch sage lit through two screens. Then I can put up Joy the Angel's photo. You can privately ask, you don't have to share it out loud, or you can get a sanitized version for public consumption. But here's the sage. We've done this plenty of times before. We know it works. But in case somebody's tuning in from Germany, New Zealand, it's 2030, the year 2030. Time and space doesn't mean as much as you think it does. And don't listen to me on that. Ask your own angels, do your own listening. But here's some sage. I'm lighting it. If you're super intuitive, you might already be tasting it. Catch campfire smell, sage, whatever. If you don't know what sage smells like, that's okay. It smells good. Very medicinal, holistic. Okay, here's the sage. Catch a little bit of flowers. You're getting it just fine. I can snub this sucker out right away before I smoke out the little office that I'm in. And then are you ready to get your answer? You don't have to share anything out loud, but this will put it to rest. And this way you can relish it or allow it to be a beautiful memory. Here's Joy. Hear what you need to hear about it completely. But if you can breathe through your mouth, I can't see you at all. And if you need to squeeze your hand in a ball and then open it from thinking into heart and fully hear her full on what's what. Even get a little extra that you're not going to share anything about that. So you hear, yep. And breathe, breathe, breathe through the mouth. Yep. And feel that difference. That's full openness. Okay. And just a thumbs up or got it works before you jump us back to when you were 6. Back at Dartmouth. Post grad. LA or on that vacation. Where are you taking us next?
Wait, okay, can we, I'm sorry, I'm like a little, I got
Oh,
a little,
do you want to share what you got? I was going to keep it private for
wait,
you. What'd you get from Joy about the whole seeing him on the street?
well, I got this sense that like, it's all, everything is just a product of your mind, and everything in reality is the product of your mind processing information. So that's, it was like, it doesn't matter one way or the other. It's like, it's real,
Aw.
anything else. Um, like
I'll be positive and optimistic about it, is that you totally saw him and it was awesome.
it was like, it's them and us are integrated in a way that's like just the truth. So it's, he might not have been like physically material, but he was still like here.
Yeah,
Uh,
saying hi. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was definitely him saying hi. So, and I got the feeling that yes. I mean, I feel like he's around me all the time. So
Yes.
it's just very comforting. And he definitely talks through you. So
Yeah, no, you got him full on if you want my 2 cents, but my goal here is not to tell you anything because I'm just the show host. Kick me to the curb. Where are you
here,
taking us next
can I
for?
also just plug you for a second and say like you were very like gifted intuitive, and like people should seek you out for what you do because it's like special and unique. And
Well,
I
I've been
just,
averaging just 4 to 5 bookings a year for a while. I'm on stasis or in a bubble, but a lot of people get scared. It could be the show. If we've had 254 guests booked into now August of 2025, people get cold feet. Thinking kicks in for me, for you, for everybody. And that's the only limit we have to more love, having more fun. And I'd argue everybody has amazing super skills, but it's scary to let go. We know what we know. We do too much adulting, too much self-importance, failures, accomplishments, you name it.
I think your childlike joy is a very important thing, and I think more people could benefit from getting to spend an hour with you.
Oh, and one day a big, big crowd out there, outdoors and not too much heat. folding chairs, and hopefully a big group having fun. Okay, where do you want to take us for one of those? Did you have a dream time experience? Woke up in the middle of the night, angels at the foot of your bed.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
so angel at the foot of my bed. A different. Sorry, this is going in a very dark direction, but some of the things I heard about like people who were victims of crimes. One day I woke up and one was sitting on the edge of my bed and she'd come to say thank you. And that was like I thought I was dreaming, honestly. And then later I was walking my dog Zoe and a podcast just randomly started playing on my phone about how like doctors see the spirits of dead people in the room often and that's just like a thing that you can like see them out in the room. Um and this was like a murder case I had heard about as a psychic, but I don't. And she was like, "Thank you for helping me," but I don't know how like tips I sent could have helped her because they weren't really sent quite to the right place. So I don't
Aw,
know, but she somehow knew that I at least tried.
that's
Um,
cool.
and that was really like, can I just say, Michael, that was like one of the most like astounding experiences of my life because especially as someone who like spent so much of my life as a skeptic, um, because she was like, my dog got up and like could see her, and she actually like she's I know like this is very like integrated for you and there's like a sense of lightness and joy around it. Like for me, it has like taken a lot of work to like understand even what it is and like it's scary. Like as you said, it can be scary to try and like grapple with it. And so like I was afraid when it happened. I was scared. And even though she's like, there's nothing to be afraid of, and like she came with this like beautiful message. This little girl who had been like killed in a very like horrible way. And she's like, there's nothing to fear. Like, we're here to keep you safe. There's an army of angels and love around you, and like we're on your side. And then she's like, and I know you're having a hard time believing this. And she's like, in a minute, I'm gonna like gently come over and like put my hand like on your face like this. And she's like, you're gonna feel it's cold and you're gonna know this is real. And as she did that, that's when my dog got up and sniffed her. And then she like put her hand on my face like right this. And it was cold and I felt it. And I I've never like it's I'm skeptical of myself. Like I'm probably like I struggle with that a lot. And so having had that experience was profound.
It was the
Uh,
universe stepping up. She volunteered to do, I'm not going to call it a lesson, but allowing more and just being you and getting out of the head and rolling with it a touch. So, yeah, you couldn't have had a better experience. I know it was terrifying at the time. I'm jumpy all the time, or at least I used to be about anything. I mean, not kidding. It might look like I know something, but no, I got more. I could throw myself under the bus endlessly, and I'll do it right now. South Congress in Austin, Texas. I'm at the point where I've never taken a photo of an angel, didn't know Plato existed, Native American chiefs, figures from India, didn't know that was all coming. Just know the whole concept of intuitiveness. And I used to get goosebumps. I could allow for others to be intuitive, but it would be like the Russian ballet. I couldn't appreciate it. Um, so I'm starting to pop. It's just personal. I'm starting to open up and I'm starting to have a little bit of panic. And I go to the one safe person I think, is not intuitive, forgetting that all artists, musicians, and others are athletic people are technically intuitive. So I'm sitting with a British rocker type in Austin having a beer on South Congress, and he stops in the middle of everything. It's just a normal beer interaction, man to man, beers on this tall table, sunny day, beautiful Austin. And he just says, "Wait, I'm getting a message for you." And I'm like, "Oh no, not the L thing." They listen to the universe, they tell you something, and then you panic because you're like, "Where's this coming from? I've never heard of this." And he says, "I'm getting a dove. I think it just means peace." And I wanted to like run up the street screaming. So he's just telling me peace, like calm down, basically. So it's really easy to be jittery. I get it. Did you have an angel come to you in a dream, physically in the room when you were sleeping? Have you had something when you were out and about in a small town, big town, uh, that was serendipity, synchronicity, and a little upbeat?
um, let's see. I mean, I've had as a medium, I feel like I've had like this is also a different experience. I was on a Zoom call with Dr. Gary Schwartz, who's done research on um, mediums a lot, and he asked me if I could channel anything about like anything for like the project he's working on, and I was like I would be like giving him a reading about a scientist, and Jesus appeared to me.
Ooh.
And he had the most like amazingly profound message, and I that was also I think meant to be like I was so humbled by that because like I wasn't a believer in that, and I didn't wasn't like going on a Zoom call like that expecting to see Jesus. And I was again skeptical of myself, but he just had a very simple message about like the importance of how skepticism has a value to keep people safe, but also he was saying um like he was personally like his soul was like grieving the way like what he came to say and do in his life got sort of out of hand,
Mm.
like the way it's sort of like taken on a life of its own that wasn't really, he was here to give people hope
Yeah. Yeah.
and to encourage love and joy and be like a child and don't be afraid, and like those were like the key messages, and somehow it got turned into like all kinds of other things that like weren't as intended, but like that was one of the most like profoundly moving experiences, and that was in my living room right here in this house. So
Aw.
um and he was like he showed me all these like I was like skeptical that that's really what I was seeing, and he kept showing me different like iconic images of Jesus to be like, no, you know who I am, like you know you're seeing what you think you're seeing, and then he showed me his actual face,
Mhm.
and it was like um and like what he looked like, and it there's this little girl who like painted a picture of Jesus.
I was just gonna pull him up. So here, if you don't mind doing something to break your structure for a second, go in a circle, don't make a fire, and just reset for a second. I'll put his photo up, get a message. I want to say it in French. I don't know why I'm wanting in the current moment. Uh, Speak a little French, but I do not know how to say what I was just trying to say. In the current moment, just reset, and here's that painting drawing you're talking about. And then just listen. He's got a beautiful message all over again.
Oh, that's the painting.
And if you want to see him in your mind's eye, full on. But this time it could be jeans, white shirt, very Swedish, European, like a lot of those business people do when it's not dress casual, up dress
Yeah,
casual.
he had
And
like
yeah,
it's okay that I'm like continuing to just tell you about it because it's like it was so profound. He had like slightly like darker coloring than in the painting, but like the like high cheekbones and the narrow nose and like that shaped face and the bright shining eyes, and like that was the face. And like I hadn't seen that painting. So um
and what's he got for a reminder for all of us right now?
he's has a sense of humor. And it's important to have a sense of humor about things and keep it light.
Literally with a capital L.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, where do you want to take us next? Compassion, kindness, just little less thinking, 5% a day, 7% a day. What do we want to talk about?
Oh my God. All of these are great topics. I think kindness, let's go there. Um, trying to think, what should I say about kindness? Do you have thoughts on kindness? Like, what are your thoughts?
Here, I'll read you something from an angel. This is 3 sentences, I think. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all. Do it. What do you think of that?
I love that. I will say also as my work, both as like a teacher and as a medium, and as a writer, like you get so many like insights into like what everyone is carrying, and it's so easy for us to all feel like, oh, everyone is different, or to be angry at our differences or our different opinions, but like everyone is trying to give a gift with their life. Like everyone alive is like trying to bring a gift, and um people can sort of get off course or get lost because of like trauma and fear, but everyone is trying, and kindness and laughter can often like help us overcome like our differences. Because sometimes like two truths in opposition that cause stalemates, it's not because anyone needs to agree, it's just everyone needs to respect each other. And then like also like be humble about their own limits. But because sometimes like truth takes on an outsized importance or like gets taken too far. And I think a lot of our problems come from like when truth isn't held with the right perspective versus it not being true.
Mm.
Um, and that like a lot, but just you'll never regret. Like there are a couple things in life you'll never regret. You'll never regret taking a shower in the morning. You'll never regret being kind. I don't know like that anyone ever regrets being kind to anyone. Like, and even if someone has harmed you or wronged you, like it's still like if you can err, like sometimes you have to like stand up for yourself. And like I work in Hollywood and I feel like there's a lot of like things you have to stand up for yourself about in Hollywood all the time, and you have to like be really good at saying no. But you can the art of being kind and saying no, like in balance, is like a thing that's like takes a whole lifetime to master. But I think it's like never hurts to remember to be kind. And I guess also one thing I think about a lot is like the more we can be kind to people who are like kind kindness should start from the bottom up, it's not the top down. Like if you have to like make a judgment call about like where to like focus your time and kindness and support, like start with the bottom. Um, those are my feelings.
I like it. Okay, let's do this. Let's switch to your writing for a second so people can they can put you on the map in terms of what type of writing you've been doing in the last, 2 to 7 years. Screenplay, is that the right way to say it? Or for TV, for film? It's
It's great.
Greenleaf, and then also Delilah, if I have said it all correctly.
Yeah. So yeah, I was started out as a feature writer actually for Universal and wrote a movie for them that I got paid for and didn't get made, which is common.
Mm.
And that's how my career started. And that was like a lucky break. So I wrote like I would call them anti-romantic rom-coms. Sort of like in the like if you ever saw Trainwreck, I wrote a movie that was similar to that. And then after that I got my writing job on Greenleaf and I wrote on that show for 5 seasons. I wrote on it and at the time I thought that job was kind of like a random job that I had. And in retrospect, it was like part of the journey I've been on spiritually because it was all about a character who comes home to her family's church and tries to like break down what isn't working and then um, lead it in a better direction. And she has a spiritual awakening on the show. And I didn't ever think I would have one in my life, but I did after that. And then I was writing on Delilah when my partner died. And after he died, I ended up taking a job teaching at USC, teaching screenwriting. Um, and I tried to sell my own TV show called Anointed that was about Mormon swingers. um, Selling essential oils in Las Vegas, which still hoping that show goes someday. I had a deal for it at Fox before the writer's strike, but it didn't come to fruition at that point. But it's based on a really great New Yorker article by a writer named Rachel Monroe. It's like a really great article, and I still believe the show will come to fruition. But so a lot of my writing since then has been TV pilots that I'm hoping that make it to air and have not yet. And then I also wrote a memoir the past 3 years that I just finished. Um, so
Can you
and then
take us through what it takes to package up just one idea? Is it 400 hours? Is it 500 hours? Is it 100 hours? Is it then how much other brain power where you're mulling it over, mulling it over? How many times do you have to kind of, now we all do everything on computers, but how many times do you have to crumple the paper, start over? How picky are you? Or how quickly do you tap into everything and it flows? Or do you just wing it and you've got it?
oh, God bless you for this question. So the script I wrote that got me the job at Universal, I wrote in 6 hours, but that is not normal. That I think was just an early experience as a psychic channel. I don't know how else to explain that because no one writes a screenplay in 6 hours. Like that's insane. But it needed to happen and it did at the last possible second and it got me my first agent. But now like Usually it's more what you're describing of hours and hours and hours and hours of thinking in loops on things and sort of like endless iterations to get it right. I've been writing a pilot with another writer, and we spent a year writing the pilot, and we're in the second year now trying to like rewrite it and break out the season, and then hopefully it goes and gets made into a show. But so like the pre-work to like get a show off the ground can take years. Like you can spend years with these characters like living in your head.
Mhm.
Uh, and I will tell you, the way I know that like mediumship is not just me making things up, is that it's a lot harder to make things up. Like it takes a long time to get something like accurate and right and feel consistent to a character when you're just making it up. And so like things that just like flow out of you, that comes from somewhere else.
And is the very first thing for the spark, is it necessarily an article, or is it you're in Vegas and you just see a character that then the rest of that character, they walked by, they were acting a certain way, they're doing something, but suddenly your brain, your imagination kicks in and you start to paint the rest of that character's, you start filling him in, and then you're like, we need a plot around this. How does it work for you to get that initial Shazam moment?
I love this question. So it depends on like how, like if it's like the show about the Mormon swingers, that an article was brought to me and they're like, can you think of something for a show for this? So that is one way, is like people just ask you like, do you have an idea? And then you have to go get one. And however you get it. And I remember for that one, I started thinking about my mom. She's not a swinger, but at all. She's like very far away from that, but she'll probably hate me for telling this story, but she grew up in a very religious household, and then we moved to Las Vegas, and she is like the kindest, nicest, sweetest lady. And so when she gets mad and tries to stand up for herself, her insults to people are comically funny. And I remember once she yelled at someone a very funny thing in a Papa John's restaurant when they were like messed up her pizza. And so that's how I got the idea for the character in this, is like my mom's like comically amazing insult to people who messed up her pizza at Papa John's. And like they didn't just like mess it up. It like she waited for like an hour and a half for like something that should have taken like 15 minutes, and they like got it wrong like 4 times. And her like her sweetly gracious anger, like her meanest thing that she could think to say was actually just very sweet and also funny. And that was how I like, so for that, that was how I got this idea for this character at the center of the show. But it sometimes like I saw like a lavender Corvette driving down the street, and I was like, and then I'd like it was almost like a clairvoyant image of like this like purple Corvette on fire in the desert. And I was like, that belongs in this show too. And I didn't know how. So then it's like you're putting together like puzzle pieces. Um, a lot of times listening to other people talk, and like sometimes people will have like a really great monologue. I remember once I was driving in an Uber in Las Vegas. I was like riding in an Uber, and the Uber driver was just telling me her life story. And she started out with a line like, my mother was a cigarette girl, and we left Chicago to get away from like, she left Chicago to get away from a bad husband. And that line just stuck in my head, and I was like, there's a character there. So
Hmm.
it's like this, making a salad from all the pieces of life that like flow through you. And sometimes it'll be you just go to sleep and you wake up and you have the idea. Like I it's always a surprise, I think.
I love it. Okay, now here's a really tactical question. This is going to be more from like your professor days, writing styles. We're talking dialogue for characters, and there's so many different characters. They all speak differently. What are a couple of tips you usually tell your students or remind yourself to keep it absolutely real and short, the way people really talk? What's a way you encapsulate all that?
How to write good dialogue. Um, I tell them sometimes I tell them to like speak it out themselves and like record it. But the big thing I tell them about anything they're writing is that keep it playful. Because when you're in the state of anxiety, which is like true of almost everything in life, and I think a lot of the things that you do with like like the thing we were just doing for this and like getting out of your head and into your heart, like you're helping people get out of their anxious state and like because anxiety blocks is a block to like connection and it's a block to connection to the self and to others. So anything I can do to help get them out of a state of anxiety and into a state of play, I think is how I try to just like help them generally. Because the thing is like every student is going to need something different. And really learning to be a writer is learning to love yourself and learning to have good boundaries with yourself. Those are like those two things in interplay, like make people great writers. When you really know yourself and are comfortable with yourself and know what you need and know how to ask for it and know how to like enforce it in yourself. So some students have one need with writing dialogue and sometimes it's just you need to like trim it and sometimes characters need to like loosen up and make it more playful. I have this great teaching analogy. I also tell them, you know, the toy that used to be Mr. Potato Head and now it's just Potato Head. I'm like, when you're writing, I was like, be Potato Head. And I was like, your story is like the potato, just the potato. And it's the mirage in the distance. So you know it's gonna look something like a potato when you start out. And then as you're like telling your story, it's okay to make it playful and like you need to keep it playful. So it's like you're gonna try out like this nose looks fun, these eyebrows look fun. Oh, this mouth isn't right. Just swap it out and trade it out. Like it's play. And if you can keep that sense of it's potato head, it's not that serious. I think that's like one of the things I give my students, I think helps them is just like keeping them from taking themselves so seriously that they are crushed underneath their own like weight of pressure and anxiety.
The next question is a quarter. There's one side of the quarter, the other heads and tails. It's the flip side of the same coin. Are students always dawdling to talk to you after class? And do you have a pretty big circle of writing friends in LA that do the same thing? They either want to play a little bit on the creative side, do they get in touch? Do you find yourself being asked quite a bit to sort of just go for coffee, brainstorm, do this, do that?
I love that question. I'm so lucky to be surrounded by so many people who care what I think and want my time and attention. I'm very like, I mean, that's like such a lovely and flattering thing. And like, I do have students who reach out all the time and like, I try my best. And it's one way I feel like I'm constantly failing because I want, like, I keep up with it the best I can. And it's like, I've had enough students at this point that it's like, and I have met enough writers and young people that I'm like trying to help up. Like I'm always happy to hear from them. I'm always excited. I always want to give what I can. And um I always love it when people reach out and um it's hard to find balance with that one. But because but like that's such a gift to have like people who care what I think. And it's like such a also like I would say it's like such a humbling thing to like have an influence it during people's like formative moments and like shaping who they are. Like being a teacher is like such an important job. Like my grandfather who worked on the Manhattan Project, he was a teacher. My mom is a teacher. My aunt is a teacher. My sister is a teacher. My cousin's a teacher. Like my family is like full of teachers. Um, and I just it's like an underappreciated job in our society because it's one of the most like besides your parents teachers are the people who make you who you are. They help you become who you are. And that is like how the world changes is by people who like help plant seeds of like hope and inspiration in the minds and like empowerment in the minds of like the people who are gonna like inherit the future.
Hmm.
So I do get a lot of that and I feel lucky for it and try my best to keep up with it.
And you also have intuitive workshops or classes, and you've hung a shingle out on that front so writers can come to you. You can group them together. You can help them out as a group, which allows you to do some of that flow and get rewarded for it, which is your time's valuable, your energy is super valuable.
I do have a intuitive writing workshop I just taught for the first time that sort of blends being a medium and being a writer. So I give my students a mix of here's my psychic intuition, my mediumship intuition on you as a person and your project and like where you fit and how to write a project that like will actually do good business for you and like how to, because I think one of the hard things about creative careers is like knowing like where to go, because like no two paths are the same. And like I also wanted to do this for my students at USC more than there's really like agency to do it. So I just made up a class where I can do what I want.
That's awesome. And are you helping them unlock their intuitive skills, whether they know it or not, or whether you want to admit it or not yet?
Oh, I hope so, because I feel like one of the big things like that unlocks intuitive skills is just telling students like your joy is important. Focus on your intuition. Like your intuition is your guide. It's valuable. Don't override it. Your job is to say no when something doesn't feel right. If I can leave my students even just with the gift of like trust yourself and say no when something doesn't feel right, I feel like I've done like something big for the future. So I do, and I think like, because like the thing about like being a medium or being a psychic, it seems so like you aren't one. You're like, it seems like Harry Potter. You know what I mean? It just seems like out far in some like somewhere else, but it's really just a spectrum of intuition. And everyone has their intuition and everyone can be more intuitive. And I think one of the ways that the world is going to heal and move forward is when people start using the tool of their intuition and like valuing it instead of overriding it. Because like we're like in a culture of like gaslighting ourselves that our intuitions need to be shut down and overridden to like, and we've done that to like cope with like what's broken in capitalism. And to cope with like structural violence and like all the things that are like not working in our world, like blunting your intuition is how you cope. Because like, but that's really your soul saying who you are and what you need. And it's like one tool that when in balance with all the other like feedback in the world, like it's gonna get you where you need to go. So it's like important to honor it.
Another way to slice that apple is if everybody started to see each other's light, their aura, the force from Star Wars, their vibration versus density, so that if it's super dense, you know they're probably lying. And if they're super happy or they're telling you the truth, it's rainbows coming off the person. That would shift a lot. It would be hard to be a bad real estate person trying to take people's money. And instead, when you go to Taiwan, you're striking a business deal. You got 14 different real estate groups you could do business with. Those two over there, there's no light coming off of them. These three over here are the happiest. You're seeing stars come off these people. You're like, I think we should probably do business with them. It would make things so much easier. And to that point, are you ready to see my energy, my light? You don't have to show me yours. I'll put this up as a background. I'll show you mine. But blue sky is number one. This type of paper background, a black sweatshirt, you know, more matted black is fine. If you're gung-ho, confident, cocky, your dog, the trees, the flowers, it doesn't matter about the background. Just own it, but good luck with that. There's something called thinking, and we all know thinking more than we know here. That's the entire journey of life, or maybe it's 50 past lives. Who knows? At some point, you got to let go. This is this. You get another dad joke, which is the most important, which I was telling her before the show, in case anybody's wondering. I do that for every entrance to the show. And a lot of people are rocking around laughing, and this is good. We want laughter. You're going to see white, rainbow, light, blue, green, 15 colors at once. But if you're super gutsy again at home, ask for angels, your loved ones, the whole kit and caboodle to do hearts, flares, fireworks, or we just had something the other day. Yeah, a butterfly, anything that you'll allow for. Just ask angels to make it nice. And here comes the dad joke. It's Santa's reindeer, Blitzen, Dancer, just those two. Why do they drink so much coffee, Blitzen and Dancer? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. And just see a filament of light, a wisp. What light do you see color-wise between my fingers?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this like vibrant, like it's like dragon fruit pink. It's
Ooh.
like electric, like it's like fireworks shooting. I was seeing fireworks before you said fireworks. So like your energy is like popping off in a
Now,
great way.
let's do this. Pretend you have 15 diamond rings on. You can barely lift your hand. Put it up. You can do it on camera, off camera. It doesn't matter. Breathe through your mouth and see with your heart, even though your eyes are looking at your diamonds. And see the light on your hands. Breathe through your mouth. Yep, just leave your eyes on your hands, your fingers. Let angels come in and jack it up and see the same pink light. See blue, see gold, see orange. Breathe. Are you seeing it all around you? Yeah. So take it as long as you can take it. It's pure love, pure light, pure. Everyone's cheering you on right now. And by that, I don't mean the audience. So yeah. And that's it. You did it. You're good. Here, let me think of something else. Oh, I'll put up 5 photos for you. It would probably be angels, but maybe we'll grab a Native American chief just to keep it real. Here's the very first one. You can put your hand out, you can get an answer, but this is for public consumption, so they'll give you a certified okay answer for us all to remember on our daily path ahead. Here's Joy, the emotion Joy, ambassador communicator. She's so groovy cool. What does she have as a reminder for us all, as I can barely keep that upright? And are you getting pink on your eyelids?
I am. Um, she said something funny that needs context to explain.
Okay, say it.
Okay, so in a media reading I gave someone else, I was told just remember it's just oatmeal, which doesn't make any sense except that like I was shown like the movie like like Misha Barton's character is like vomiting in The Sixth Sense, and then I was shown like the scene in The Sandlot where they're all on the amusement park ride and they're all vomiting afterwards, and behind the scenes making the movie, like on screen it looks horrifying, like it's like awful and horrifying, and behind the scenes it's just oatmeal, like.
Oatmeal.
And so when you're having, when life feels gnarly, just remember that there's a bigger picture behind the scenes that we're all part of, and it's really, even the most horrifying things here are really just oatmeal.
Mm,
So, and that if you can remember that, it's easier to keep it light. um
I love that.
I also just say that I really love that when you're like trying to like name the things that are like we're all trying to like give a name to, that you're like willing to use like here's one way to phrase it, here's another way to phrase it, here's another way to phrase it, and that lack of rigidity that you're just like trying to give this like poetic language to, I think is so important, and I love that about you, so I just think that's really great.
Yeah, non-dogma, as Nietzsche said, ego is a dog that follows in your shadow up the mountainside. But we'll do a non-dogma Nietzsche phrase. We won't actually. Never mind. But the point is, dogma doesn't get you very far. Yeah, rigidity and all the rest. You gotta have fun. Buy a twister set, keep the wheel, toss the rest, or donate it, and then spin the wheel. And you've written in on each color something spontaneous to do that day. That's probably the best way to do it. Here's an angel named Charlotte. She might have been Nefertiti in ancient Egypt, bringing compassion to the Egyptians. That's something if you're into ancient Egypt. And to that point, catch ancient Egyptian incense that you know you've never had before, that goes all the way to your foundation and rocks you. It's totally artistic, by the way. It'll be good for your writing next week. But ask Charlotte, hey, what's up with mankind? What's up with this awareness thing you were just telling us about? And how can we all walk a smoother path? And what'd you get?
So I am hearing that we're closer to the cusp of the turn than we think, like the world is turning to hope like right now, and that this is like a big statement, but I hear world peace is coming.
Ooh, I like
World
it.
peace is coming, and like many of us in our lifetimes, I think we'll see a much more peaceful world. That's what she's telling me, is that like we're on the cusp of like a revolution of peace, which
Mm.
feels like, and she said sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around how fast life can change.
Hey, I had one angel once because I asked the big picture questions, not who killed Kennedy, but how fast, if everybody was into just listening, basic listening. Good luck with that. Good luck for the scientific community. Everything could be revolutionized in a heartbeat. Athletes don't have to go through slumps, or if they're in one, they could just be like, hey, what do I need to get out of my slump? And they hear the answers like, hey, dude, get out of your head. And the answer was 3 hours from an angel named Dale who coached a famous gymnast, Olympic athlete who won a lot of golds in the late 70s, early 80s. 3 hours, but that would take a lot of iPad satellites and people tuning in to just maybe look at a photo of an angel, see one floating there and wanting to listen. Good luck with that. I've got 4 archangels for you in a different sort of light energy format. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. Feel the vibe like it's fiesta time. Feel what you can feel. Do not judge. What are you going to allow for at home? Catch a bouquet of flowers or catch Hawaii or catch something that you think is super groovy cool. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, what are you hearing from those 4?
They're showing me a picture of like this like wheel and saying like you don't have to do it all in a day you don't have to do it all in a day. Like pick your pick your thing for the day. Pick your thing for the day. Like I don't know, that's like hard to quite articulate, but it's like the sense of like a good life isn't like always like perfectly structured. So and that the mess is part of the fun. The mess is part of the fun. So.
And I know Archangel Uriel said if more people would listen, less conflict would result in any given situation. So we're back to that. One more angel. Her name's Heather. She makes hearts in her photographs. I've got her a million different ways. And I'm going to mention to folks, you can see them in full on human form. That's everyone's homework assignment because we give out homework on this podcast, but just put your intention out there to see an angel in human form. You're walking into a coffee shop. Somebody with sparkly eyes holds the door open for you and says just what you were talking about at the cocktail party, the barbecue, or at the dinner table the night before. You know something's up, your energy gets scrambled. If you're like me 10 years ago, you got your running shoes on and you're already a block the other direction. But if you're an adult, do some adulting. Ask them for a cup of coffee and go sit down and have the best conversation ever. Here's Heather. She's compassion, like Wonder Woman if you want to think the Amazon, if you like Africa. See her as a native resident of Africa. Bold, very bold. And she's here to share something with you personally. Keep that to yourself and then share something with us all. And I'll buy time. I've seen her in Sweden as a human. I've seen her in New York, Las Vegas, Austin, and Maui. Cover story in Maui was she was a Portuguese ballerina taking time off from life. She's surfing. I'm a bodyboarder. If anybody knows how this works, a surfer's never going to talk to a bodyboarder ever. And I got to spend a good portion of that day surfing with her, which was really cool. And it made my trip. And you know how bodyboarders work or don't work with surfers. So it's a fact. It was an angel. Okay, what's Heather say to you?
She's saying when in doubt, bet on love.
Oh my goodness. And the big casino is not in the sky, it's here. So you're spot on. Keep going with that.
I I just want to say like though, like all the things you're channeling like are like the bodyboarding versus surfing thing was like a thing that with me and my partner, like that was like a thing. So I don't know, like the things that flow through your mouth are like so just synchronously specific.
I've
And
had a
so
couple guests say that lately, but those shows are going to appear in as a smorgasbord. They're not all done in a linear fashion, but I get that. I get that off camera. I get that on. And again, I believe in not telling anybody a single thing because if they can do their own listening, and they already are, they just aren't giving themselves the credit for it. It's the difficulty of hitting a light switch on the wall when you have normal lights in your house. When you hit the
right.
light switch, you're the light switch. Flip it upside down. When you're on, you're here. I can do this correctly. When you're on, you're in your heart. Most of us are off, though, doing the thinking that half of it's a waste of time. Welcome to being human. It's okay. You're going to keep wasting it. I'm going to quote Charlotte. We already had her up. She said 7% less thinking a day is the Olympic gold medal. That's it. And if you flip that pancake, that's 7% more in your heart each day. Get a calculator out. I've done it 5 times. Still can't remember the answer. I think it's just under 2 hours extra a day of whatever you want to call being in your heart. Hugging your dog, walking your dog, poetry, letting go, breathing, yoga. 1 million ways to be here. 20 million ways to not do it or think that you're doing it and realize 3 hours later, holy cow, I never actually hugged my dog. Okay.
Right.
You tell us though, what's one of your secrets to success daily for taking a time out from the rigmarole, the routine, the
I
washing
was
machine of life?
hugging my dog. So wait, come here, come here, Susan, come here. She is her nickname. You kept saying like the ambassador of joy earlier. That's her nickname. So
Oh, hi, baby.
she's so good.
Oh, big furry. Hi,
She's
baby.
she's my constant reminder to be present.
And hey, dogs have guardian angels, if anybody didn't know. So ask Joy what the name of your guardian angel is, and then close your eyes and see her. And say, got it when you got it.
Got it,
Good. I
got it.
think we might have done that before the first time we talked, didn't we? I don't remember much, but that vaguely I do. Here, I'll get you Big Mary. I'll show the Irish version of Mary that, I mean, if you're in Europe and you're old school, you have to have it this way. It's the one with the heart on the shirt, and it's the classic drawing. But I'll do Big Mary after that with a modern photo. So lock that one in if you've got to have it that way. But here's another way that's just as fun. She's sparkly. We know historical photographs don't move, or a real photograph won't move, but that's not quite true. You can see her smile more, sparkle more in the eyes. Here's Big Mary. If you want to see a little bit of rainbow-like glitter all around you and your pooch in the room, you won't be vacuuming or writing a mean note tomorrow because it's just made out of light. It'll go away. Yeah, we just wrecked your whole house. You got to get it professionally cleaned. Rainbow light glitter everywhere. And all your clothes are actually, you can't get it out. You got to dry clean everything too. Okay, so what's Mary got for you as a reminder for us all, how simple it all is. Good luck with believing that, because there's the rat race going on and everything else.
And there's time for what you need. There's time. There's enough time.
And do you want Elvis? Let's do Elvis on air.
Yeah. I want Elvis.
Elvis is gutsy. And
you just listed my like to-do list, by the way, of like dry cleaning my clothes and like vacuuming. You're like, this is what this lady needs to get done, and don't write mean notes to people also.
Here's Elvis. He has a reminder, super spiritual side. I had no idea. People can hear him crooning. If they want to close their eyes, they can see him on stage, fit as a fiddle, and moving those hips, singing those lyrics. And what's he have as a joyful reminder for us all?
You say there's nothing that you can't get from fame that you can't get from being like a kindergarten teacher, because the point is just to like give and receive love and have fun.
Oh, that was deep. That was almost like a Hollywood movie line, almost.
He loved being famous, by the way. Like that's my feeling, is he loved it. And it also was hard, but there was a thrill to it. But he said kindergarten teachers feel the same joy a lot of the time.
Okay, here's another active exercise, and then we'll start to wrap it up and let you close us out with a couple of reminders. Just again, you've had a lot of personal experience, and you can always give pointers, whether you're a writer or just trying to walk a smoother path in life. I think you've got a lot of experience. Here's the thing, though. We'll put our hands up, only our highest intent, not my bill-paying side, or if my team's going to win tonight in a preseason NFL football game or something, whatever. The heart side of us. So here's my left hand. If you can put up your right hand, only your highest self. Feel what you can feel. Yep. And let me know what you're feeling. Is it sparkle? Is it warmth? Is it this? Is it that?
Campfire.
Campfire. I like it. And I'm going to whoosh rainbow light. We're going to blame angels all the way. They're taking responsibility. Hear it from Joy that it's just a lot of love from angels. I'll do it 3 times, low, medium, high. But if you're already into this at home, get 3 highs. Okay, here it comes. And I've got a microphone down below. I'll blow in it, and it'll be Hawaiian breeze in the room, or on your nose, a little sea spritz. So you'll see me looking like I'm going off camera blowing, but whatever. Here comes the rainbow light, the first one. Feel what you feel. And Ivy, did you get that up and down your back? Did you get it all over you? What did you feel?
Up and down my back, man. Like,
okay, and did you get any Hawaii as well?
sure did. Like, okay, I had a visitation dream of my partner in Hawaii with the wind blowing recently.
Ooh.
So your channeling is off the charts right now.
I do Hawaii all the time, though. So we're going to play skeptic here. And I love Hawaii. So, okay. And I'm going to double blow, and it's going to be medium, and just ask for the semi kit and caboodle, like almost the whole shebang, almost the whole enchilada. Here we go. Medium. Hear the palm fronds. See that white stallion riding down the beach, running, whatever they do, galloping. And then all the way down, you can see that partner waving, but like a whole football field pitch away. Yeah, we'll do that on the third one. The third one's going to be go big, go home. You're already home. Let's go big. And put something out there. If somebody's got a personal setup and they're like, oh, my situation is, my problem is, put it out there. Let the universe handle it. Let some rainbow light come in. And this is it. You're going to feel some blowing here and some wind over there. But if you do shut your eyes, see the beach, see it all the way down, see them all the way down. Let that white stallion just pull your gaze all the way down and feel lots of love out of this. Here it comes. Lots of whooshing. And Ivy in LA. What can you share with us that's shareable?
Be patient for the miracles. That's the other thing.
Ooh. All right, you're wrapping it up. Any which way you want to go, any which way but loose.
Any which way but loose. I don't know. What else? I don't know. I'm like a little
Where not to put your limits.
where not to put your limits.
Yeah. What's a good idea for all of us to not limit ourselves?
Oh, your
How can we
credit,
let go and trust our path more?
your credit score. Let that go.
Always practical advice. Yes.
Kidding. But I think like money is a tool to get where you need to go. It's not the be all end all. It's just make sure you have enough in the bank and gas in the car to get to your destination, and beyond that, it's all good.
Mm.
And ask for help when you need it. Like, it's hard to ask for help. That's a hard, like, ask for help from them, ask for help from people love, like, everyone has more love around them than they think. I think that's something people need to remember is that it's actually easier to like give than to receive a lot of the time. And um the practice of actually being vulnerable enough to ask for love and help and support is like part of the work of being a person.
That was about the deepest thing I have heard. Second deepest thing I've heard in all of 2024. Your show's coming out, I believe, in 2025. So happy 2025, everybody. Ivy, you've been fantastic. Thank you for joining Angels Positivity and Love. Look for her again later in 2025. We're going to have her right back. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. You're just like such a lovely, fun, playful energy. I feel like I'm like playing out on the schoolyard with you. Like, so
Thank you.
really lovely. All right.